Hi, this is Charlie. We're back to make another signature for our album by Ciao. It is called Esprit de Voyage. I'm not sure how to pronounce or enunciate the DE. All right, so this is what I have. My base page is going to be like this. This is the reverse side of it. I just think this piece is cool, but I wanted to play with this side, and so I have actually, if you look at it this way and you turn it over, I'm turning it upside down. I want this in my lower left corner because I'm going to put a pocket over here. So I want to keep as much of this focal point as I can. So this is measuring in at 8 1/4 by 8 3/4. And then we have a side pocket that is measuring right at 3 1/4 by the 8 3/4 in the height. And from my scraps, I found this piece. I thought it was kind of a cool, it looks like an eyeball. I'm sorry, but it does. And maybe it is, but I thought it would be a great focal point. And then to kind of distract away from that a little bit, I'm putting a dragonfly right here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this piece assembled, and then we will work our way into the other pieces. Now this is going to be somewhat of a little bit longer video, so if you have your cup of coffee, your cup of tea, your water, whatever, and maybe visit the restroom just so that, well, you can pause yours, never mind. I can't. When you're using an iPhone, Apple does not allow for a pause and continued play button on these phones. So it's a feature, a capability they have. They're just not allowing us to have it, and I'm not sure why. Anyway, so here's my scrap piece. The reverse side of it is a piece of this. And I'm just going to kind of glue this in there. I like playing with scraps, and I like playing with scraps that have focal points on them. Okay, so let's just slide this right in here. And then I'm just going to glue down most of this dragonfly. Okay, just going to sit him in here. I do want to get in here and clean off some of this excess glue. Okay. I'm gluing him down to my trim. All right, so we've got that done. Yay. Now, I'm going to work on a right side panel first. This is going to be kind of quick and simple, and again I'm using some scraps and some leftover trimmings. So this piece here, oh, I've already done it, is 5 3/8 across, and obviously the 8 3/4 in your height, and you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. You're going to run that tape, and then it's going to come on to the back side here. Okay, so then on the inside you have this in your scraps, and this is the reverse side, and this is the side I'm going to use. I'm going to set it up here, but as you can see, it's a tad bit short. No worries. We're in your scraps. You should have this piece. It's the top of the air balloon, backside is kind of orange, and I think it makes for just a great statement piece. So I'm using that, and this measures 3 inches by 4 3/4 ish, depending upon your trimmer. I'm coming, when I lay this down, I'm coming just to the right of the score line, and I should be coming right up to the edge of this. So like I said, it was about 4 3/4 ish. And we're going to go ahead and take this off. Oh, I've got to put this on first. Ta-da! So this is almost all scraps or leftovers. And this page probably isn't going to make much sense because to me it's leftover. So let me get in here. So we cut out one of those 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 cards, because that's what's on the reverse side of this, are those cards. So what was left over was this piece. So I trimmed this away, and this trim ended up at 5 3/4. This trim is at 4 3/4. But like I said, these were all one piece, so I just simply trimmed to fit this and then took the extra over here. Okay, so there's that. And then on the reverse side, you've got a piece of paper in your packet that has all these blue and beige stripes, but I want to use this side. So this is what's going to go down. Did I ink this? I didn't, so hold on here just a second. Okay, that's going to go like so. And then from that reverse side, I am going to make a center tuck. Just going to go going the right way. And I'm going to use one of the brass embellishments. It's the clock right in the center of this. So this is 1 inch wide, and then you're going to trim to fit this piece. And then if you got the brass goodies, I'm using the clock. If you did not get the brass goodies, you can put whatever embellishment you want here. But keep in mind, it can't be too big because this is going to be an active tuck for photos. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get this piece put in place. And I've already taped my piece. And I'm going to kind of eyeball the center where I need to be. And then I'm going to just add a touch of glue right here on the end where this meets up to the gusset. It's fairly tight enough. I just don't want this to flare open. Okay, so this is done. Now, let's get to our other panels. Staying with the right side, and I'm going to put all the paper on when we're done getting the panels, the left and the right side in. So this panel, I did not measure it for you. This panel is coming in at 6 3/4 inches by your 8 3/4. You're going to score it at 1/2 and you're going to score it at 3/4. Okay, tuck it in, and we want to come right up to that 3/4 line so that this gusset is wrapping this gusset. So this gusset's wrapping over this one when it gets folded over. So we're going to come, let's just double check. No, it looks like you got to come to the center of it maybe. I thought I had it all planned out. I want this, okay, you're coming right up. There we go. Okay, so we're going to be coming just over that 3/4 inch gusset, just over it. Because I want this to wrap around this. And then I'm just going to gently push back and kind of reinforce that score line. Okay, so now I've got a gusset that's on the end versus it being up above. It's on the end and it's wrapping everything that's underneath of it. All right, let's go work on our left side. We're going to make another pocket. And me and the magnet are having a fight. Okay, let's just put those over there. All right, so the first piece, which is the outer flap, it's going to measure at 6 1/2 by 8 3/4. You're going to score it at 1/2, and then you're going to score it at 3/4. But we're not putting it on the base yet because we've got to get our pocket made. Where's my measurements? My pocket measures at 7 inches across by 8 3/4, and then you're scoring each of these long ends at 1/2 inch. And then it is going to come and sit, once you fold those flaps over, it's going to come and sit just inside, and I'm just inside this 3/4 inch score line. I just don't want there to be a lot of hindrance when this turns. All right, So once again, this is going to be 7 inches across, scoring it a 1/2 inch on both long ends, and it's 3/4 of an inch in your length, and then I'm putting a 1/4 inch tape here so that when these two flaps come over, they hold that tight, and it does make it easier for me to get it in the book, or at least on the front of the signature. I want to burnish this one more time. And I also want to miter my corners. All right, it's more important for me to line up on this edge than it is here because, like I said, I don't want to come on top of that. So I'm going to put my corner down. I'm going to run this up this left side edge, and then I'm going to lay it down. And it just lines up perfectly. There's about 1/16 of a gap there. And I knew I forgot something. I forgot to make the pull out on this. That's simple enough. All right, now I just screwed up. Dad blast it. I hope you're using tape. Okay, this piece here was intended to go underneath here so that it closed over. So we could mount this on the top, but then I've got an unnecessary gusset. Okay, because of that gusset, and it's going to look odd, I'm just going to loosen this side. If you're using glue, you're not going to be able to dismantle. If you're using tape and you have some undo, you can dismantle. So if you're using glue, the next measurement I give you, I will take away one of the gusset measurements for you. So just hang tight for just a minute, because it will all work out in the end. Okay. So, and those of you who have not, so just hang tight and I'll give you all of the measurements for both situations. Okay. So this panel measures that score line's right at a 1/2 inch. Okay, so this panel is measuring at 6 5/8 all the way across. Now, you may have to trim yours 1/8 of an inch because those of you who glued will not be playing with this second gusset. So you may need to bring yours down to 6 1/2. And to figure that out is I want you to do the 1/2 inch score. You're going to place it on top of the pocket. And then you're going to fold it over, and it needs to match up with this edge. So when you fold this over, then this piece here on that flap needs to be right at 6 inches. So that's for those of you who glued and now have to fix this. For those of us who haven't put it on yet, or did, and you want to put it under, then you're going to measure this at 6 5/8 of an inch. You're going to score it at a 1/2, and then you're going to score it at 5/8. So you're going to have a 1/2 inch score, and you're going to have a 5/8 of an inch score. And then you're going to tuck it under the pocket, put the pocket down, so then this gusset that you've created now allows you to fold over onto the top. And then this gusset helps to eat up, if you will, or take in this gusset that we just made. Now, what I do need to do is I do need to move this magnet because I set them down to remind me that I have magnets in here that I need to place, but I don't have them placed right exactly where I want them. So I want this a little bit more in Okay, that'll work. All right, now these magnets. All right, so I'm going to close this because there's too much thickness for these basic gray magnets to go through all the layers. So I put down a different type of magnet that I have right here, and then the basic grays. So now we're going to take and we're going to put this on. Okay, I'm going to come, I need to think about this because we've got it on top here. So we're going to come up to the 1/2 inch score line. And you are going to get just a tad bit of pushback because we've built up so much on this edge. So I'm just carefully peeling. Okay, there we go. Ugh. Ugh. I'm okay at the bottom, but I'm not okay here. I see way too much of my tape. Well, this is just an undo surgery situation here on everything. Okay, now I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to bring it right up here to this 1/2 inch. And then I'll lay this down. I had way too much tape showing there. And that's what happens when you've got bulk like this and you're trying to lay down. Yes, the smarter thing for me would to have been put this first panel down and then build everything. But I was focused on trying to build this panel. So I didn't catch this. All right, now we're going to set this other magnet so that it comes over here. Make sure that everything's level, my gussets are level, and then I'll commit the tape. Or I commit the magnet, and then I'm going to take a little bit of tape and secure these, especially this one on the left because I did use some undo to release it. Okay, so that's what we have so far. So let's go back to the right side panel. All right, so I do believe this was a large leftover that was not in my scraps, but was over here in my collection pile. And on the back side was that big hot air balloon, and then the quoted saying that we've already used. So it's this side that we're going to use, and it's cut to fit. You're going to pop it in here, and you're just going to be very mindful that when you bring it when you bring it up here, you're coming right next to it, just a fraction of an inch away from this gusset. And then you're just coming over where you're about 1/16 off of this edge. Okay? So it's just a big old cut to fit. If you want to see more blue and you want a bigger border, you can go ahead and trim accordingly. And I don't know if I've said this yet, but if I'm doing a feature that you just do not like, you don't have to do it. Change it. It's your album. All right, so another focal point. This was in the scraps. And the reverse side of this, this is a piece of the center that we're using as our base. So this is a focal point that I'm going to go ahead and use, and it's going to come right down here. This piece here measures at 3 1/4 by 6 inches. So it's 3 1/4 by 6 inches. I know I have my tape and tear. Here it is. Things get buried on my desk. It's controlled chaos. What can I say? And I know I've already said this, my decorative edge does not count in the measurements. So if you're using a die or a punch, ribbon, whatever it is you're doing, or not doing anything at all, that's extra 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch does not count in the measurements. Okay, I'm sneaking right up to the right side of this gusset, and I'm setting this down. I had a pencil mark. Okay, and then we're going to glue this in place. Okay, make sure I had the words in the right direction. I've done that in the past where I've put something on upside down and oops, too late. All right, so now we have a nice pocket. We've got a couple of tucks right here on this side. We've got another pocket here. Now, let's go ahead and let's finish the right side. But to understand the right side, there is this cutting in your pack of papers. The reverse side of it, had this. And in here is this card that I cut out that's going to go back in place, and it says New York Times. That's what's going to go over here. So when you turn this back over, we're going to use the butterfly, and what's alongside this butterfly were 4 of these cards that were stacked deep, too deep on this side. So once you cut this off, you're going to have some cards here, cutout cards to play with. All right, so I'm just going to leave this guy in place. I'm going to open this up. And then I am going to put this in its place. So it's going to go in right here. Now I will tell you that when you go to trim this piece here, there is an extra maybe 1/8 of an inch, not more than that, that you will want to trim off because it doesn't belong there. I'm not sure why when they built this that they did not match the front and the back side for where to trim. So this is going to be a little bit deeper here on the ends than I like, but I don't want to see that funny strip in there. Okay, so I'm going to tape this on because of this magnet. And I don't think I'm going to tape well, I'm definitely not going to glue the inside of this box, but I don't think I'm going to tape it either, because once I cut that card out, I mounted it on blue cardstock so that I could frame it in a little bit better, and I'm popping it up. And I think that with that combination, this should stay down flat. So this is going to come right here, and there's going to be a little bit of this tape in the center. It's going to help hold that top down. And then, like I told you, this is going to come in here. So I think once that's squared up in there, I'm not going to worry about taping or gluing these edges. So let's go ahead and let's get this removed. And then once again, I'm going to lay it in place. And I'm going to let that little bit of glue there grab onto the paper. Okay, and now I'm going to take these strips off. And I just realized too that magnet's going to be under here, so ta-da! I'm okay. All right, now we're going to move over to the left side, and we're going to finish it. So this is our outer piece, and I didn't ink that. I'll get to it. This is the piece that's going to go right here. Now remember, this is going to open. Come on. And what I'm going to put in here is you've got this, the buildings. So you're going to cut to fit the buildings. And then you've got some spot here to put some photos. You can leave the buildings intact. So these are going to go right here. This piece here, remember it came from one of the sheets that has the big cards that we cut out. This is going to go here. just a little bit of tape right there. Okay. Get this back up here so you can see it. All right, just going to set this down. And with that magnet keeping this closed, I am going to make a little ribbon tuck to put right here so that a person knows to open this. But before I do, okay, I cut a piece that's a 1/2 inch wide, and it is 7 1/8 long. I put tape on one side. I'm making a tuck, but I'm not going to make a tuck top to bottom. I'm just going to make a nice tuck here. Dang, blasted. Okay, so I've already screwed that up. Come on. This needed to come over just a smidgen more to make it level. There we go. And then I took from my scraps this beautiful piece right here. I just think it's so pretty. And it will add nice contrast, and we've got a nice tuck right here. We're almost done with this. Lots of moving parts. And then I'm going to, before I can finish the other side, I am going to cut just a little bit of ribbon. I'm going to open this up, and I'm just going to kind of tape it right here in place. Ta-da! So now when this piece goes down, and I didn't ink any of these, I'm so sorry. I get so much more inking done if I use the pad because it's a wider base than the sponge. Okay. So now get them back where they're supposed to be. All right, so we can glue this one down. Careful with the gussets. And you can see the blue, so it will highlight that you need to open that up. It was not something I thought through very well. Where did my 1/4 inch tape go? Oh, there it is. I'm taping this because of the magnet. trying to figure out where I needed to put that. I apologize. All right, time to put this in place. Okay, got some nice photo spots here. This is going to close up. This is going to open. And then we're going to put this guy on the outside. I'm going to glue this, and then we're going to cut and measure our pull tag. See, this is what I was talking about. There was this extra edge on the reverse side of this that doesn't line up with cutting the image on the reverse side. So if you wanted to use this image, you'd have to cut this off. Okay, we're going to set that on there. Now, our pocket is measuring right about 6 inches. Yeah, 6 inches. So this is slide in nice and easy because it looks like I'm going to double. I'm going to drop this down to about 5.5 inches, and I'm going to cut. Do I have a panel that's close to that? Oh, it's not quite. I end up with extra panels, and I was hoping maybe I had one over here. That one's even shorter in width. Okay, so let's cut. I don't want it to be a really super skinny. So we're going to cut it down to 5.5 inches. And I'm going to cut it down to, because once this goes in there, going to stop if I don't want it to get stuck. It's going to stop right about there. So let me see where this is coming in at. So this is coming in. We're going to cut it down to 8 inches. It's 8 and an 8, and I think the 8 inches will be a better fit. We're going to quarter round the edges. And then I'm going to cut another piece of ribbon. Fold this little guy in half, and it's going to go right up here at the top, and then I'm going to run some tape to hold it in place. There. All right, so what I have over in my cuts is the remainder of this sheet, and the back side is the stripes. So I think I'm going to use the striped side, and I'm going to just kind of lay this in here. give myself a little tick mark. And then we're going to lay this in here, give myself a little tick mark. And that goes in scraps. That goes in the scraps. Quarter round. Ink. And again, I'm only doing one side until I'm totally done, but I think there's going to be more than enough paper to cover the back side of the ones that we've made. Okay, let's put this in place. And we'll stick it in our pocket. And then this signature is done. So we can go ahead and turn it over, and let's get our support tape on the back side. It's a little bit heavier, so I'm going to use 5/8 inch tape. Now, we've got some bigger gussets. When we go to put this down in the album, we need to make sure that those gussets are standing up nice and tall and that they haven't collapsed on you. This one that's facing me right now wants to, and that's because there's not much of a buildup behind it yet. When you start adding things in, then it will help take up that space. But I don't like lopsided gussets because I had a 3/4 on one side because of everything we built there, the pocket and that extra page. Then to put a non-matching gusset on the other end, I think would have made for a lopsided signature. Okay, let's give this tape a real good burnish. Get all the air and the cracks out of it. Let's grab our album. And this is going to come in here just like this. Okay, so we're going to kind of reverse the side of this, turn it over. And I'm taking this gusset and I'm coming right up to the edge. And then I'm going to make sure it's laying square. All right, now let's close this back up. Oh, I kind of lost where I was going. Just for a split second. I'm like, okay, what's next? Take the tape off this end first, and I'm going to push on this gusset, make sure it stays flat, and then I'll commit that tape. All right, now I'll turn it around So I've got the other 3 sides facing me. And I do apologize, this ends up being at an awkward angle. Not much I can do about it when I need to see what I'm taking off. Okay, once again, this gusset, I want it to stay flat, so I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on it so it doesn't collapse. And there we go. Now we'll go inside, we'll open it up, and we will burnish it. All right. There we go. Hey, thanks for playing along. We've got 2 more signatures to go. So until then, bye-bye.